Why is it that we humans just don't like to listen? When I was a teenager, I'm sure many of you can relate, more than once I caught a cold, because after my mom had told me to wear a rain jacket, I insisted I do not need one. On September 28 this year, over 250 millimeters of rain poured down on Kathmandu, the capital city of the country of Nepal. In the last 100 years, there had never been a single day with this much rainfall in Kathmandu Valley. Now, Kathmandu Valley is full of houses with little space for the water to go, so the heavy storms resulted in heavy flooding. Sadly, over 200 people lost their lives in the floods, 35 of them children. Probably many of those would not have died if they had simply evacuated in time. And they could have. The Nepali Department of Hydrology and Meteorology had issued a special alert on September 26, declaring life-threatening conditions for the Bagmati River that flows through Kathmandu Valley. That was 2 days in advance. By the way, I don't want to point any fingers here or blame someone. That's not my job to do. In fact, Nepal is not the only place with this issue. Aartal in Germany in 2021, the city of Derna in Libya in 2023, Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil in May this year, or just at the beginning of this month, Valencia, Spain. The list goes on and on and on, and the story is always very similar. There is an early warning, but somehow people do not act sufficiently upon it. Are we all just rebellious teenagers that do not like being told what to do by authorities? Of course, why warnings are failing is complex. And by no means do I understand every aspect about it. But I do believe that this has at least a small role to play. For a second, put yourself in the shoes of a citizen in Kathmandu. Perhaps this is your house. From this warning, would you understand how dangerous the flood is going to be for you? Could you imagine all your property being underwater? I believe it's often very hard to relate the very broad early warning messages to your own unique circumstances. Are you in danger or not? And if, how much? What if AI could help us bridge this gap? What if a generative AI system could take the warning from the Department of Hydrology and tell you your house is likely going to look like this in 24 hours? You all have heard of the amazing capabilities of generative AI, how it can generate fake news. What if we could use it for something actually useful, for doing good? Let me give you some examples. A few years ago, a good friend of mine did an internship at NASA, where he took a flood map forecast and generated how a satellite image of the flood would look like. Does this place seem familiar to any one of you? That's actually the auditorium that we are inside of right now, but on Google Street View. Researchers at the Montreal Institute for Learning Algorithms generate plausible renditions of how climate change could affect it, through flood, wildfire, or smog. By the way, floods are not the only hazard for which we have early warning systems. There are already, luckily, systems in place for wildfire and air pollution, and for tropical cyclones like hurricanes, or for drought and food security. And we have health warnings during heat waves. But many of them neglect one crucial aspect. A weather forecast is not the only relevant component. Sure, they are super important, but on top of that, we need impact warning systems. We don't just want to know that it's going to be 40 degrees for the next 5 days. No, ideally we would like to understand what does that mean for our hospitals. How many more people will require treatment? Or what about the nature, our farmlands and the ecosystems? How will they react? I believe there are some opportunities to use AI to go from weather to impact. Let me show you an example. In 2018, there was a devastating heat wave over Europe. It had a massive effect on landscape. We could see this effect on satellite images. In my work at Max Planck in Germany, we are developing an impact early warning system for droughts and heat waves. How does this look like? Our AI models take in weather scenarios and produce how the vegetation health is reacting to those. Let me give you an extreme example. For this location in Greece, we generated scenarios for the vegetation growth under different climatic conditions. Now, hot and dry just means that the vegetation dies. But if you compare the different scenarios, you observe interesting patterns. For instance, the vegetation close to the river is more resilient, or the plants on the south-facing slope are dying off faster. So our AI system allows us to produce plausible scenarios for the impact on vegetation already in spring. What if we could base early warning messages on such information, on impact forecast? Perhaps we could even go one step further and integrate those into chatbots, so generative AI models that speak our language. What if that citizen in Kathmandu or a farmer in Greece could interact with the AI to produce the necessary local context? Researchers have already found that in some cases, humans seem to listen to AI chatbots more than to other human experts. So how would this look like? Perhaps the AI could ask, what is your house's location? How many floors does your house have? Can you send me a picture? What is your job? Do you have relatives that live on a hill nearby? And then it could take all that information and turn it into a personalized warning message relating to the person and telling them that even if they depend on selling shoes in the little store in the ground floor of their house and they really cannot afford to take a day off, they should remember that during a flood, likely nobody wants to buy shoes anyway. So perhaps they are much better off moving their belongings to the upper stories of the house and then going to visit their aunt on the hill for the next 3 days. If you're critical, you might say, but Vitus, are you serious about this? You really want to give people an AI system if all they really need is to get out of poverty? Today, there are almost more smartphones on Earth than humans. I'm not saying AI is the silver bullet that single-handedly is going to solve all our problems. It does not need to be. If just a few more people act in advance and prepare before the next climate extreme, because an AI on their smartphone was able to convey the warning message in just the right way, then that's already a great success. What we need to make sure, though, is the ethical and just use of the technology for the benefit of all people on Earth. It's probably a good idea to have some regulation and some standardization, and more importantly, to involve all types of people already when developing the AI. It should not just be white tech nerds from the global north like myself that build these systems. No, we need global collaboration so that the AI can respect local customs, values, and norms in all sorts of places. Okay, let me get to the elephant in the room. I'm sure every one of you knows we are facing climate change. Now, climate change, unfortunately, does not just give us nice beach weather every day. No, it will make it worse. How nice is a 45-degree summer day instead of 35 degrees? Even worse, a warmer atmosphere means it can hold more water vapor. If you have more water in the atmosphere, that means there are more clouds, and these are larger. Bigger clouds create bigger storms, and that means more heavy rainfall. And if you are unlucky and you're living in one of those places with a terrain that really cannot withstand heavy rainfall, then there will be floods. Also, there's only limited water on this planet. So if a lot of it is in one place with massive clouds, then naturally another place will have no water, no clouds, no rainfall, no water, drought. Research has shown that this holds true for many other climate extremes as well. In fact, it is now widely agreed upon that the frequency and intensity of climate extremes is increasing in most parts of the world, and that this trend will further accelerate with global warming. So in face of climate change, it is ever more important that we have functional early warning systems everywhere on Earth. I hope we can achieve early warning for all as soon as possible. And maybe generative AI can help us reach this goal. By improving how we communicate early warning messages, of climate hazards to make them more effective. We can save lives and livelihoods. Until then, you can figure out what communication channels your government is using right now to distribute warnings. Perhaps it's an app or it's a Facebook page. Subscribe to them, and next time you receive an alert, do me the favor and put on your rain jacket. Thank you.
Well.